Crypto Angel's not there, then we'll pass to Jimmy.
Hi,
Hello.
CZ. Yes, I'd like to ask the question, what are your personal goals for this year, and what are your goals at Binance? Thank you.
Okay. I'm not a so contrary to what people believe, I'm actually not a very big goal person. I don't. I think that I understand the deficiencies in setting goals. There's a lot of benefits, but there's also a lot of issues. Once you set a goal, you try. Once you reach, markets change, and sometimes it's too easy, sometimes it's too hard. From my perspective, and from Binance's perspective, I've always encouraged our team just to do your best. We set a few goals. We use the OKR system, but we said, look, those are soft goals. So, for example, one of the goals last year was we're gonna triple our user base. That did not happen last year because last year was a bear market year. But our team, I think our team did pretty well in terms of holding the ship stable, making sure the platform always worked, making sure that we were not affected in any of this turmoils that's happening in the industry. So I think we did really, really well from that perspective. Business declined, revenue declined from the year before, but the year before was an all-time high year. We try not to be goal-oriented. We just try to do our best, and we want to provide the best products, best service to our users, and we are the most reliable platform as well. So I think we did a good job there. So for this year, I think my expectations are it should be a recovery year. So I wouldn't think we will go into an all-time high year. If we look at history, crypto history, there's very distinct 4-year cycles. There's usually every 4 years there's an all-time high, which is much higher than the previous one. So 2013, Bitcoin reached $1,000. That's in December. 2017 December, $20,000, and 2021 December, November-ish, I think $68,000. But after all of those all-time highs, there's usually a very sharp decline for 1 year, and then 1 or 2 year recovery, and then another 1 year all-time high, which completes kind of the 4-year cycle. It's not to say that history can predict the future. So it doesn't mean that it doesn't give us any predictive powers. But for the high probability case, I think this year should be a recovery year. And we're preparing mostly for that. But at the same time, we always prepare our platform so that if there's another 100x in volume, we should be able to handle it. We may struggle on the customer support side a bit, but if there's a big volume increase today, we're ready to handle it. On the negative side, if all crypto prices drop by another 90%, or even to zero, we have enough cash to last. So we're covered on both sides. But the most likely scenario would be my expectation, which could be wrong. Most times my expectations are wrong. So we'll see what happens. Personally, I do have a personal goal. I want to get 6 apps, but that's been my personal goal for the last 30 years. I never got one.
Awesome. Thanks, CZ. You just ruined my joke because I was going to remind you of when you committed to trying to get a 6-pack in 2021 when you were talking to Michael Saylor. So I was going to ask how that was going.
That's been my goal for every year personally, but never got there.
Maybe 2023 is the year. Let's see. So, Crypto Angel, I see you came back there towards the end. Are you here now?
Hi, thank you for having me, CZ and Binance. My question is, sometimes when I try to assist some people in verifying the Binance account, that's the KYC, it seems to be rejecting those with darker skin. Like if someone with a fair skin tries to verify account like the KYC, it seems to accept faster than the facial verification. So my question is, does it actually reject people with darker skin than the fairer skin? Thank you.
Sure. Thanks for that question. I don't know I don't understand the specific reason that you described with your friend, but our KYC process is nowhere near perfect or good. I would say. In different countries, there's different ID systems, there's different address systems, there's different KYC database, KYC databases, there's different government databases, etc. And we are trying to integrate with as many of them as we can. And also, we have to deal with some nefarious hackers who try to game the system. So we have to implement procedures to prevent people from keep trying, etc. In your case, from what I heard, I think we probably have misimplemented that to be too strict. And we may need to look into that and loosen that a bit. I'm just curious, which country or region are you from? If you're still on stage.
Not on
No,
stage
you're not
anymore,
on stage.
sorry.
Okay. But we will. This is something that we've been working on since about 2 years ago. We have a group that specifically look at KYC processes in every single country. They go through country by country. They actually have a daily call that actually I could join anytime when I want. It's in my calendar. So it's something that we need to improve quite significantly. Yeah, that's about as much as I can say on that case. We need to make product improvements.
So CZ, if we just take that question a step further, I know that we recently launched the user feedback tool to take product and feedback suggestions from all the users. So perhaps we could just talk a little bit about the channels that we have for users to submit feedback in areas that they're experiencing and how we typically deal with that once it comes in.
Sure. So actually, the easiest way to give feedback is through the Binance customer support. So if you have a product feedback, please open up a ticket or chat case and then leave your comments. One of our agents will look at it, and if there's product feedback, they will pass it to the product team. Our customer support teams can create a feature request. And we have an internal system that searches for other feature requests. If there's a duplicate, that will just add on to the existing request. If there's a new one, they will create a new one. And then our product managers do look at them. And then if they're being worked on, they change the status. And if they're closed, once the feature is released, they can close it. We also have a feature to notify all the users who requested or were affected by that feature, and we can notify them. We recently made the system public. So now on the Binance website, let me search for the URL, Binance product feedback. So now for actually, if you search for Binance feedback, you will get to a page where you can give product feedback. It's a very similar system. You can look at other people's feedback, and then you can add a new one, or you can like an existing one. The ones that people like more are voted up, and they will get more attention from our product teams. And our product teams do manage that. So it's it's a very simple web page for feature request and product enhancements. I do encourage all of you guys to use it. And then there's other sort of more traditional means on social media. If you are followed by one of our teams or by myself, or you can tweet at me. I don't see all of it, but if I see it, if our teams see it, we'll pick it up. And on other channels, Telegram, Facebook, or other social media channels, all of that is fine with us. So yeah, so we do really welcome specific product feedback. For example, by specific, what I mean is, for example, you just say, hey, look, your product sucks. There's not a whole lot of ways for us to figure out how to improve more specifically, and that's just basically an attack. But if you say your product sucks because your KYC, my friend in this country tried to KYC, she's legit, and after twice she got locked out. That's a very specific feedback we can look into. That's very helpful to us, and we really appreciate that. So yeah, so we do really welcome specific helpful feedback.
Perfect. Thanks, CZ. So for anyone listening, if you do have product feedback, we'd really appreciate it. And we'll put a tweet out after this space to summarize the areas where you can submit that if you do have anything. So we look forward to hearing from you. So then we'll pass over to Richard for the next question.
Can I ask a question?
Sorry, we'll go with Richard first. We'll come to you later.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Hey, CZ. Thanks for having me on. Just a comment before the question. Just want to say, CZ, the way that you, as a founder in the space, the way that you absorb pressure is incredible. I just want to give a lot of commendation for that. I'm sure it's not easy. Maybe we don't see what goes on behind the scenes, but certainly the image you portray publicly is very commendable. And then the question is, I'm curious to know, given how much you travel, what geographical region would you say right now in 2023 is showing the most promise for widespread adoption of blockchain and crypto, taking into account, retail, business engagement, and regulation?
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for that question. I'll address the pressure part a little bit first too. I meet a lot of guys who say, "Hey, CZ, you look fine. You're not stressed out or anything," and my response would be like, "Am I supposed to look stressed?" Um, so it's always I have had those conversations a few times. I think it's more of a polite thing that people say, "Hey, look, you're under a lot of pressure. We really appreciate what you're doing, etc." But for me, I know we're doing something that helps hundreds of millions of people, and hopefully we will soon be able to help billions of people. And for me, that's super meaningful. That's super rewarding. And I know we're doing the right thing. We protect our users. We kept we kept our stability when everything was in turmoil. We were thanked by many of our users. So for me, there's no pressure. If you do the right thing for the right reasons, everything else is noise. So for me, it's actually pretty easy. Look, I wake up, I do what I do. I know deep down in my heart, I know what I'm doing is right. I know what we're doing is super meaningful as a team. And I know what we're doing as a community is super meaningful in, I would say this grandly, in human civilization. So for me, look, we're just part of something that's really positive. And there will be some guys who will give us pressure. There will be some jealousy. There will be some people who fear of the new things. And those are normal. Those are expected. If there was none of those negative noises, that probably means we're not doing something that's not that impactful. So that comes with the impactfulness of what we're doing. So as long as we expect that, then you no longer feel stressed out about it, etc. So that's kind of on the pressure part. So I do think I handle pressure much more commonly than other people. I do have a very calm personality to begin with. So that's on the pressure part. On the regulatory landscape, I think this year, to be very direct, I think the perception, at least my perception, is China has always been really negative, right? So they banned crypto payments in 2013. They banned cryptocurrency exchanges and ICOs in 2017. In 2021, they banned mining and banned crypto exchanges again, and whatever else. So that area has not improved. They are experimenting with a central bank digital currency and in pretty advanced stages, but it's not an open blockchain. It's not something that we can integrate with yet. I think Singapore was hit pretty hard by the FTX issue. Singapore, Temasek invested in FTX, and then FTX was never asked to block Singapore users, where Binance, we had to offboard Singapore users, and many of the Singaporean users went to FTX, and they got hurt. And there were questions about Temasek's investments, etc. So Singapore has a bit of pressure on that side. That made them being more careful with crypto. I think Singapore is quite conservative on crypto now. They were quite open to it 2 to 3 years ago. And then you have countries like US. I think US this year doesn't look good. You have many different agencies basically scrutinizing crypto. Again, most likely because of the FTX issue incidences, and the other ones like Three Arrows, etc. So, and there's a lot of scrutiny. There's a lot of regulatory intervention in the industry. So it doesn't feel like a very friendly environment to the point where we actually pull back on a couple of our potential investments for some of the stressed companies. We just said, let's wait and see. We're still committed in Voyager, and we're still very committed to go through that deal and help the users there. But for the things that we have not committed to, we kind of scaled back a bit. I think US is looking slightly, from an industry perspective, slightly more negative in terms of regulatory clarity and adoption stance. Europe's kind of in the mix, and then there's very favorable places like France is quite favorable still, and Dubai, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, very extremely favorable. And there are areas that hasn't changed that much, like Africa, Latin America is also waking up quite a bit. There's more regulatory frameworks being issued, guidelines being issued, etc. So we're seeing positive developments there. So yeah, but this is always the case. Different places evolve at different rates. Oh, I forgot to mention Hong Kong. Hong Kong recently turned very positive towards crypto. So historically, like a couple of years before, they were quite strict. There was no, but now they allow retail traders to trade crypto. They're issuing regulatory guidelines, and they're also opening up the registration processes. So all of that is extremely positive. Japan is quite positive now. So Japan from 2017. They had the crypto exchange registration framework, but the framework was a bit restrictive in the sense that they only allowed trading of like 20, 30 coins, and that list didn't change over the last 5 or 6 years that much. So because of that, they missed the NFT boom, they missed the DeFi boom. Because most projects need to issue a token, they couldn't get listed on any of the Japanese exchanges. In 2017, when that framework, just before that framework was put in place, if you go on CoinMarketCap and look at the top 10 exchanges in the world, 5 of them are Japanese. Today, the Japanese exchanges don't show up in the top 50. So, but now they do realize that may have been too severe, and they kind of lost the industry development. Many of the Japanese developers moved to Switzerland and other places. And so now they're revising that. They're loosening it up. So they're now saying that from this year, exchanges can have their own listing frameworks, etc. And Binance acquired a licensed entity in Japan, SEBC. So we're hoping to open up shop there soon. So yeah, there are many other countries. I can go on for a while because there's so many countries. But yeah, different places move differently. There's positive and there's negative developments at a very generic level. There's many minute details which I may not even know about.
Great. Well, thanks.